Hello, I'm Alison Bale of Mind Insight, and welcome to this my latest video on how to use the attitudes of mindfulness to help you if you're living with long-term pain. And today I'm going to talk a little bit about the attitude of trust. It was the Buddha who originally told his disciples that they shouldn't believe things just because he said they were true. He advised his listeners to apply his teachings in their own life and to take what worked for them and discard what didn't. And in a way that exemplifies the way when you're living with persistent pain, you need to learn to trust yourself and your own instincts. Because persistent pain is complex. It has biological, psychological, and social components, and there simply isn't one size fits all. That means that just because something works for somebody else does not mean it will work for you. And of course you can take advice from professionals, but ultimately, the point of mindfulness is to help you develop the skills to inquire into your own experience and to trust that you have the capacity to find the right answers for you. And in the next session, I'm going to talk a little bit about why trust really matters when you're living with pain. So we've noted that trust is one of the attitudes of mindfulness, and it's an attitude that holds that your journey is yours alone to travel. And part of your learning is to learn how to trust your own wisdom. And there are a number of ways that this might apply if you're living with pain. Trust invites you to accept that what works for you is just as valid as what works for someone else. To acknowledge that whatever help, support and advice you receive, only you can really know what's right for you. Trust encourages you to understand that you can cultivate this ability to be an observer of your own thoughts and feelings and beliefs. And it also invites you to question those, to question whether they might not be the whole story. And trust also encourages us and supports us in being curious. And that means to show up fully to whatever's present, without judgment, with the confidence that whatever you experience, you can handle it. In the next section, I'm going to talk about 5 ways you can strengthen your capacity to trust yourself. Learning mindfulness is all about developing insight into your experiences and creating space for you to respond skillfully and flexibly to whatever life brings your way. There are many different ways you can cultivate greater trust in your daily life. Here are just a few that you could try. One option is to get into the habit of slowing down. Make it a habit that when strong emotions arise, you give yourself time to feel them, Become accustomed to watching the rise and the fall of thoughts and feelings without any need to react to them. Meditation is a great tool for starting to develop trust in your ability to observe your experiences, and there are some short guided practices on my website which you are very welcome to download and use yourself. Meditation strengthens the ability to observe our habitual patterns of thought, and it requires a degree of trust because changes in our reactivity don't always happen as quickly as we'd like them to. Sometimes when we want to build trust, it's a good idea to reflect on times when we've already demonstrated it. Is there anything that you've ever done in your life that you just knew you had to do? Maybe you didn't know how it was going to work or even what the end result was really going to be, but you trusted yourself. There'll be skills that you've learned that you didn't have when you started, chances that you've taken, times when basically you've just backed yourself. Take some time with a journal or a notebook to reflect on these and to understand how in the past you've backed yourself, and you can do so again. When you're looking to build new habits, it's generally a good idea to make small changes and just get curious about how those changes show up in your body. We're often not very familiar with noticing how our body reacts to situations, and yet quite often our body will react more accurately and faster than our mind can really comprehend. So get familiar with your body sense, your gut instinct, your intuition, whatever you want to call it, and see how you can trust it. And finally, it's worth cultivating the ability to be your own best friend and to trust that that's an okay thing to do. Because very often our friends will be far more generous towards us, far less judgmental than we are towards ourselves. And they provide the kind of nurture and encouragement and supportive attitude that we need if you're trying to work with something that's difficult. So learn that trust of knowing you've got an inner best friend, and never forget to congratulate yourself every step of the way, because we're much better at doing things consistently when they make us feel good, and even small steps done consistently make up for big progress. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you've enjoyed this video. There are others on my YouTube channel in a whole series of how you can use the attitudes of mindfulness to support you when you're living with pain, and you can connect with me on my website and follow me on social media. Thank you once again for listening.